Welcome to 155, a podcast about punk songs. My name is Josiah Hughes.
And I'm Sam Sutherland.
I would love it if we could just do that kind of dulcet,
do you want to do it more like this?
Yeah.
I wonder if we would. I'm going to try. This sort of reminds me when we did the ASMR exclusive and we just talked in whispers the whole time and it was disgusting.
I liked it.
This is a very hard tone for me to stay in.
I'm very hard from your tone as well.
So this week we're talking about the song May. I'll be. You know what I'm only realizing right now is, do you think you pronounce it May 16 or May 16th? By the band.
Well, in terms of how you would pronounce it, I mean, you would pronounce what's written. Like you're pronouncing it's. Like this is why
you as May 16.
You and Mark were dunking on me for being a copy editor. I'm currently rewatching People Just Do Nothing in preparation for the big movie coming out this year. Cannot wait. Going to be the movie event of the year. Everyone is going to be bowing before me and apologizing when they did not take my recommendations years ago to watch this show. I mean, it's going to be. But anyways, MC Grinda, we're watching it with the subtitles on because it's like, I don't want to miss any of my precious jokes for my boys. And I kind of watch all British things with subtitles on. But Grinda is sometimes spelled with an H at the end and sometimes not. And it drives me fucking crazy.
Ooh, copy editor in the mix.
But, I mean,
fix those subtitles.
This is spelled May. Well, I mean, you could also say that I'm kind of a hero for, whatever. What's the opposite of being ableist? I can't really.
Inclusivist.
That's what I'm doing when I'm mad about the subtitles. But how is it actually spelled on the album? Because I think you can't. I don't think you just add
May 16 is how it's spelled.
It has been uploaded in multiple different ways, but yeah, I think it's just May 16. Probably.
Okay, so this week
you got to stop doing the tone. It's really making me uncomfortable.
I know. I don't like it either, but I was going to make you demand it because I was like, I'm not just going to stop doing this on my own. I think we are showing our ass, so to speak, in terms of we wanted to do a Lagwagon episode. Feels like had to do this as part of Epitaph Month. I want people to know, because I don't think we've really leaned into this. Every song this month is from a compilation. That's like the sort of tie that binds us here. So even though this is like a later era Epitaph song, given that it came out in 1998, this is still from one of the Fat Bombs, I guess, that came out at that time. Life in the Fat. I should have even known that. But we are talking about Lagwagon. We have been exposed in the past on the pod as being lag posers. But for people who don't want to go in, listen to how many episodes of this podcast have we done, by the way?
I don't know. I have no idea. Lots.
So
got to be less than
sort of
50,
come through,
right? I mean,
so people who don't want to come through.
I mean, let's just stop. Let's just take a quick break and do some math here. It's November is when it started. Mm-hmm. So how many weeks is that? Maybe it is more than 50. I don't really know how many weeks are in a year. I can never remember. And I am
52 weeks in a year.
I am intentionally derailing you right now, just so you know, because
the song appears on Fat Music 4, Life in the Fat Lane, alongside such big tunes as Coming Too Close for Noise for a Name, San Dimas High School Football Rules by the Ataris, My Favorite Things, Me First the Game, and of course, but it opens with May 16th. This is the big Lagwagon song. For people who have not sort of picked up on our little dribs and drabs of Lagwagon,
have we had any? That's what I'm trying to remember. I don't know if I've ever I don't even know if I have an opinion of Lagwagon. I think we've
probably dribbed and drabbed our opinions only because we should contextualize this with there's a contributor to the cover section almost every month. DRMC, Dude Ranch Meets Come. Their thing is usually sort of recontextualizing a song in the style of a classic pop punk anthem. And it then falls to us to sort of, in a panic, identify, lest we be labeled as posers. One of the songs that we did not correctly identify was the iconic opening of this very song.
Right.
Led to some outcry in the nation about our lack of familiarity with this band. So I think both on pod and then perhaps in the Discord, you and I have had to sort of reckon with our passing familiarity with titans of 1990s pop punk. So for the record, Josiah, Lagwagon, go on.
I feel like I've never really. Here's the thing about them for me is that there's this very specific kind of epithet person that I've definitely talked about at brief before on the show. Specifically, I'm going to go ahead and bring this up again. If you've been on the whole journey, you'll handle this one more time. There was a dude in my high school who was a manager at McDonald's, and he was like the ultimate pop punk guy. And he thought that he was so punk. And I remember the hacky sack circle, him pointing around. If some people will know who this is, he would point at Sarah Oates and say punk. He'd point at someone else and say punk. He'd point at me and say not punk. He was kind of the guy who decided everyone who was punk or not.
But he was doing this in the hacky sack circle?
He was, yeah. And also,
so none of you were punk.
Well, and he played in he tried starting like a skate punk band for a battle of the bands, but like none of them could really play very well. And he was the guy who did like he mastered like the really shitty epithet bass tone, and would do like really quick strumming. But I feel like their music was a disaster. But anyways, despite him being sort of the king of who decided who was punk or not in the hacky sack circle, he was also a huge fan of Pennywise Land of the Free. And also he was a manager at McDonald's. And I just always think about this guy as being this kind of like Lagwagon falls into that realm. And I think it is literally because when you say the band name Lagwagon, you sound like a guy who's like going to party at the lake in some interior of Canada somewhere. Like just to say Lagwagon, you just kind of sound like a lake man. You sound like you're many kokanese deep when you say the name Lagwagon.
Lagwagon. You know what's so interesting about this being your take? Because I don't remember any of this hacky sack story. So if you have told us before, sure.
Well, that's the thing. I know I'm always telling you them for the first time, no matter what. That's fine.
I was hanging out with some pals this weekend, and I made a reference to something that I wasn't sure if I said often. And these are people who like listen to the podcast. And I was like, I don't know if this is a thing that me and Josiah talk about on the pod or just occasionally before the pod. And then sort of was like, I'm going to tell this story. And they're like, yeah, you say that about every couple of weeks. You tell that story. And I was like, right. See, no one knows, except for our wonderful listeners. Thank you so much for sticking with us. That's my thing. I think about Lagwagon is
it's like lake music.
Yeah, like objectively now, I think that this music is very good. And as a person who like got into metal like later in life, but also as a person who like appreciates a lot of the music that seemingly exists in like Joey Cape's kind of like sphere of sort of like interests and influences. This feels like music that I think I'm really supposed to like, and that I kind of think you also made. Like, this seems like it should actually fit in the Venn diagram of stuff that you and I both like, because there's this like very like when you listen to any of Joey Cape's like solo stuff or Bad Astronaut. I mean, Bad Astronaut more of kind of like a power pop band, but like it's so obvious that his core interests are outside of pop punk, and he talks a lot about being influenced by like the Byrds and Belle and Sebastian, and like he uses names that like you like. I don't really know how much you like the Byrds, but at least Belle and Sebastian sort of jumps out to me. And then the like shredding metal shit is like 100% for me again, like later in life, not when I was in high school. I've really, that I appreciated, that I'm into. And yet, this band kind of exists, with the exception of a few songs that I've always kind of loved, like a little just like outside of my interest, and in trying to interrogate it today and be like, why the fuck is this not one of my favorite bands? Because it's all there. Like there's Harms, there's it's fucking sick. I think it's like a people, but also a perception of the people that are like super into Lagwagon.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's so interesting that that's your impression too.
But that's what happened to me, and I got to shout out Zachary Lipez, because he just in his I hate to admit it, because I like really do find music journalism to be the most disgusting possible thing that could exist at this point, now that I'm kind of free from it and writing.
Have we talked about the Woodstock 99 doc yet on pod? Because I finally watched it.
No, I didn't. But we can't get into that today. There's no way we can get into that today unless you want to. I mean, if you want to, we can.
Only just because it's the most like... It's basically like a movie about music journalists. It's fucking horrible. And I knew I was going to hate it, but I hated it more than I thought I would.
Now that I spend my
it's just like listening to fucking bloggers talk about how like Limp Bizkit is bad. Like what the fuck?
I think now that I'm finally like
should not be a movie.
I'm like Prince Caspian being freed from the silver chair. I can see what I was like before, and I'm just like, oh my god, all music writers should be round up and redacted. It was kind of the kind of joke that one of them would make. But Zach's newsletter is honestly like. It's just like every week is a masterpiece, and he just wrote a long post defending the Strokes this week, and I actually read the whole thing, which I don't ever do with music writing, and it was like so every sentence just absolutely sings. It's beautiful. But the same thing happened with me with the Strokes. Was just like obviously a different kind of person, but I wrote them off forever because I just
totally.
And then I loved them. So I actually honestly think of all these things that we discuss on here that I don't really know anything about. I think Lagwagon is the one where I'm going to go and actually like really get into them because like they do seem to have I guess I also just think like a guy named Joey Cape is already like borderline of a like wrestling podcaster kind of name. I assume that's a stage name. And I'm like, I don't know about that. Maybe it's a real name and maybe I'm just showing my ass even more. But otherwise, like Lagwagon, their logo, first of all, is like as iconic as the Supreme pill, basically. Looking at it, it's just like it's beautiful text with a beautiful kind of faux Nintendo oval around it. And then the art really plays into that realm of like kind of Ren and Stimpy-ish, kind of actually more like National Lampoon magazine cover aesthetic, which I love. And it looks like it was painted by Mark DeSalvo, who I was just clicking through around, and he also did like the disgusting NoFX Heavy Petting Zoo art and stuff. That must be like I love the idea of just like someone owning these really prized actual paintings that were on pop punk covers. That seems like an art show that I would go to.
Totally, yeah. So Joey Cape's real name is Randall Joseph Cape.
Wow.
So
he's cool. I like this guy.
He's definitely cool. And like he has such a fucking cool voice. Like Joey Cape's voice fucking rules. And I really feel like he has not made an attempt like retroactively to reinvent himself as like, an intellectual songwriter. Like it really has always been there. And I feel like I only started to like appreciate Wrestling King Randy Cape when he did, I think this was like sort of the first real kind of solo release of his, which was a split with Tony Sly from No Use for a Name. And I was a big No Use for a Name fan. And I kind of had like never gotten into Lagwagon for the reasons that we're describing. I was just like the people that I kind of knew that wore the shirt, I was like, and like what I had heard didn't grab me because I think it was like a little more difficult than a band like Blink. Like Blink sort of existing in a similar sphere, but writing very straightforward pop songs. Like NoFX, kind of the same thing. No Use for a Name, very much the same thing. But like Lagwagon songs generally are like not just sort of straight 4/4. Like there'll be like they'll drop a bar here and there'll be like a shift here. And instead of it just being like the super pleasing chord progression, they'll do something strange. Now, those are all things that I appreciate today. And it actually makes me really question how I choose to judge those around me. And this is, I'm sure I will learn absolutely nothing from this, but it was always my impression that Lagwagon guys were just like kokanee guys. And now I'm like, well, you were listening to music that was like more technically interesting and complex than anything I was into at that time. But I had like written it off because it just didn't make me feel as immediately good as like a Matthew Good song, which is, I mean, not that those two things should be judged against each other, but sure, like when those are the things you listen to at that time, I think it makes sense. But like on this solo album or on this like solo kind of split, there was a couple of Lagwagon songs kind of recorded acoustic, but like whereas Tony Sly had just done very straightforward, and Tony Sly is like an incredibly gifted, I think, like kind of pop and pop punk songwriter, had just sort of played acoustic versions of songs that I knew. The Joey Cape stuff was like, for lack of a better term, and to use like a music journalist cliche, like lush orchestral arrangements of these songs. And I was like, wait, is this what fucking Lagwagon sounds like? And sort of stripped of all this context that had sort of alienated me previously as a huge fucking poser, I was able to be like, oh my God, wait, it's like Move the Car like a perfect pop punk song. Like his violin's a perfect pop punk song, but those are like literally then the two Lagwagon songs that I've only ever really appreciated. It's because I like heard them in a different context, and I was able to like then listen to the versions that exist on Haas and say like, oh shit, like these are remarkable fucking songs. And I feel like it's sort of to my detriment that I never was able to sort of extrapolate that into the rest of the Lagwagon catalog, because like having now listened to May 16th a bunch of times and listened to like a bunch of Lagwagon sort of very casually throughout the summer, because it's been real like pop punk kind of summer, this band is really fucking good.
It's very, it's funny to think about like him doing orchestral arrangements and stuff, and then thinking about all the like Kokanee Box boys.
I know.
Would those guys have gotten into the Byrds eventually too? Like the same people who were bullying me for listening to Belle and Sebastian at the same time? Could it have all been there if just Joey Cape was around in person to make it happen or something?
I think so. If Joey Cape had been up at the lake and been like, you guys got to check out Sweetheart of the Rodeo, actually.
But actually, even when I look at band photos of Lagwagon, like there is, we talk about their physical appearances later, so as a little spoily. But there's a very, very tall guy who definitely does look like he knows a lot about like BMXing or something. Like there's a lot of guys who look like the classic extreme sports kind of guys. But then Joey Cape in this one photo session that has been used for a lot of different poses, he really rocks this red sweater. Like he looks very grunge or like even indie. Like he really has like he has a very, I don't know, he just has a very strong, cool guy look that almost doesn't fit in a way. It's really doing something to me right now.
That's the other thing is like the rest of them really do just look like, and no offense, I'm sure they're all really nice guys, but they kind of look like the dudes that we are describing. And then at the center of it, it's just like this sort of like indie rock twerp. And you're like, what are you doing there, little guy? But you see it in their live videos. So, one of the fun things I think about Epitaph Month has been like having an excuse to sort of dip back into the sort of Blink-152 sort of spirit of like just watching sick pop punk performances from the 90s. But his entire stage persona, and I've seen Lagwagon play a couple times because they've been like at, like whether it was Warped Tour or like, Junior Battles played with Lagwagon once in Chicoutimi, Quebec, which was like the most deeply French experience I've ever had. And
is that where Bilverstein just played last weekend? Was that where that?
I don't know where they played. They were like in northern. It could have been Chicoutimi because that's north of Quebec City.
Quebec festival this weekend, and I know Comeback Kid played too.
And Silverstein. Then like a bunch of super French ass sounding bands.
Because Bill was stalking me in a Mile End as well. So,
so you got recognized, man. You got podcanized.
I really did.
I just put a watch together in the Discord chat, but like. When you watch Joey Cape live, he does not stand or move like the other guys in this era. Like he has this I feel like Joey Cape has always been 50. And maybe that's why, and again, spoiler, this makes the sort of timeline of the pod extra convoluted based on how we talk about this later. Like he has aged really well, I think, compared to sort of some of his contemporaries. And I don't purely mean that in a like I'm talking about his face sense, although I absolutely am talking about his face, is like nothing that he does now feels embarrassing because it always feels like he's acted.
Yeah, he has like Doug March energy or something. Like that's the thing about being like seeming more indie or something. It's like you kind of. Yeah, he's an old soul in the face.
Old soul in the face of the body. Like, he sort of just looks like he's having like a pretty good time all the time. Like, it's not like over the top, like hyping up the crowd. Like, he's just like he sort of dances a little bit. He sways. Also, but he's not like being your monkey,
It's true. Yeah, he's just kind of like chilling.
Like, he's big time chilling. It's like, oh, okay, and now maybe I'm going to have to sing a little song here.
It is always really funny when pop punk bands have a guy who's just a singer. It's like so odd. You should be doing hardcore singing only if you're only holding a mic. Instead of like holding your ear to try to hit the pitch.
Yeah, like Also, that a guy gets on stage in a Skunk Records shirt and seemingly takes a selfie with him on, I guess, a disposable camera.
Yeah,
but
that's
looked like
amazing.
He was holding a cell phone. And I was like, no, wait, it's the year of our Lord, 1999 in this photo. But yeah, he's like literally doing the pop star, like I'm touching my ear to make sure I like hit the notes. Like, guy, you're in Lagwagon.
Is he wearing an Atari's shirt?
Oh, is he?
I think so. The intro kind of sounds to me what I imagine the Atari. I haven't really listened to the Ataris too much, but the intro of this song kind of sounds like the Ataris, which I also love about this song is that you don't really notice how many parts there are as the song goes on, but it has like every kind of pop punk in it. It has like some little Rufio noodling.
Buffet.
Yeah, it really is, but it fits together really like seamlessly.
And, you know, I think you're kind of right that this actually does. Yeah, that's definitely an Atari shirt. Like, reminds me a little bit of what I think was drawn to about the Ataris. But the Ataris are like, what if Lagwagon was devoid of any of the sort of like left field stuff? Like, there's nothing metal about Ataris. The Ataris, like, if there's a nice chord to go to, the song goes to the nice chord. And
so
like,
do you actually?
These songs are.
Do you think of Lagwagon as being metal? Like, I think you keep
like
calling them metal.
Influencing Lagwagon. There's like earlier Lagwagon stuff is like kind of got like shreddier parts.
Okay, yeah.
This song doesn't. By the time you get to this album, it's like pretty much just like oopa oopa pop punk.
But the other thing that they do really well that is like mostly only NoFX does it as well. Like Blink doesn't really on the early albums, but it's just the chord progressions again feel like if this was a different rhythm, it would sound like Ozma or one of the other like Weezer worship bands. Like it has that complex, like that complex kind of classical music vibe to it that makes it really like it just feels sophisticated. It doesn't have the golden 4 chord progression. Maybe some of their songs do, but it doesn't. I almost would be surprised if they had songs that just do the easy chord progression.
No, I don't think they do. And again, I think that's why I didn't like them, because I only wanted to listen to Golden 4 songs, which like, I guess is fine. Like, you don't have to be like listening to, you know, monocle punk when you're in high school. But like, I regret, you know, there's some of these things, like when we listen to these bands, I'm like, I wish I fucking liked this more back then, because I wish I had that kind. You can't manufacture the kind of relationship with these bands that you have when you get into them when you're 16. Like the relationship that we have with Blink, the relationship that, like, you know, I have to no use for a name, right? Like I can never manufacture my no use for a name relationship or my propaganda relationship with Lagwagon. And I feel like that's like unfortunate, you know?
Yeah. But that's the beauty of like
you know.
That's the beauty of the internet now, though, is like just really in the same way that like people collect Funko Pops to fill the void of not getting enough presents as a child. Not me, don't say me. But in the same way as that, you know, it's kind of like you can just go back and, because I think probably truthfully the main reason I didn't like Lagwagon is not because of the people who said Lagwagon, but because I just didn't own any of the CDs. And I'm sure I've already said the Fat comps were really expensive for some reason and the Epitaph ones weren't. So that was kind of my main thing. And then I just never got into it, and then probably built a narrative about people I didn't like who liked it afterwards or whatever. So that's what I think.
You know who did like this album? Pitchfork.com.
Yes. Okay. I've been obsessed with this ever since I've like paid attention to music writing, and I could never remember if it was Lagwagon or Less Than Jake, because they're still kind of the same band in my brain. I still don't really know the difference, to be honest. I need to really brush up, but I'm obsessed with like the lost, deleted Pitchfork reviews.
The premium one is not Less Than Jake. It's Save Ferris. The Save Ferris Pitchfork review is like the Mount Everest of, like, it's the true. It's the suitcase in Pulp Fiction, where it's just like some days you just wake up and you want to dance and skank. It's like all fucking on the Pitchfork side. It's amazing. But these have all been deleted. Now, I didn't realize that Lagwagon was one of those. I only knew about Save Ferris, but in my Twitter search for Lagwagon, I discovered you tweeting about this long lost Pitchfork review of this exact album of Let's Talk About Feelings. So you knew that this review existed.
I did, and I think I'm trying to remember where. Maybe like It probably was even pre-Tumblr. I feel like it might have been my friend Alex, who I did Free Punk Lyrics with, told me about that because he was like an early Pitchfork guy. And I remember like Alex and his friends, I remember going to their apartment all the time in Alder Grove, BC, called Instant Home. It was like this sick apartment that was above a store where The Hand and Foam 100 had our CD release there. Like it was just like, and they had this like 24-hour or 48-hour like free improv jam one time. They just like, it was a really formative place for me when I was a teenager. And I remember being there and like they had like just imported the CD version of the No Twist Neon Golden after like it's probably like the kind of thing that all those people would. It wasn't Alex specifically, but some of his roommates I think had it, and it's the kind of thing that like people of that age probably would be. It sounds embarrassing now or something, but it was like the sickest thing I'd ever seen to have just read that something got a huge score on Pitchfork, and everyone was buzzing about it, but there was no way to hear it, and then they had the like import CD from Germany, and it was so cool. So I think like this around that era of Pitchfork lore, like even pre Tapes and Tape sketch on Human Giant, there was the lore that there was this deleted Lagwagon review. So yeah, I mean, respect, but also like I feel like it's kind of fucked to not have that. Like Pitchfork is such a huge part of literally music of the last 20 or 30 years. How could you just like delete that review and act like it's okay?
I agree with you. I think it's fucking bullshit because it's this idea of. And I think we're going to talk about this a little bit with our guest, and it's something you and I touched on before, is like I genuinely don't trust and I don't like people who make an attempt to act like they have always been cool, you know, who are like, oh my God, you like Blink, that's a band I listened to when I was in fucking high school. I was like, what, do you not like the shit you like in high school anymore? Like, what, you fucking, are you not the same person? Like, I get that we evolve and your tastes change and you get interested in things like context and whatever. But like, I don't know. I mean, for the most part, like, you know, your fucking cells are the same. Probably if Lagwagon sounded good to you then, it sounds good now. But there's this like attempt to shape your tastes around the way that you want to be perceived in the world. And I think it's like fucking sad and embarrassing and so obvious, which is not to say that like it makes sense to grow your taste and be like, I love watching Star Wars, but I also love watching the Criterion Collection. And like, it's okay to like both of those things because all of those things can be good and can resonate with you in different ways. But specifically, I think in anything as it relates to like culture and signifiers and the way that you perform yourself for the world, it's just so easy to like kind of shed those things from the past and like pretend either you're embarrassed by them or just like
that
totally
didn't even
disavow them. Yeah, like, and so Pitchfork deleting the reviews is like the same as like how many people you fucking knew are just like, oh, I was never into this thing.
Yeah,
and it's like, it's fucking tragic because I think like something that you and I have proven sort of through this process, you can be someone like, not me, I'm not talking about myself because I don't think I've necessarily evolved that much, but we've talked to people whose tastes have evolved and you can sort of be an interesting person with all kinds of well-informed sort of
I kind of think,
cultural passions.
I think I've shifted even more where it was like the thing before was like, yeah, we all like some embarrassing things and it's funny and we can celebrate that. And now I actually think what I truly believe is that it's embarrassing to like anything at all. And you should be ashamed of yourself for being a fan of something. So then
that's your evolution.
That's the place I'm at now where it's like, just shut the fuck up or don't. But just realize that it's like being a fan of something is a sign of weakness in my opinion. But Pitchfork did launch this like reviews search engine like a year ago or something. And definitely Save Ferris or Lagwagon. If you search Lagwagon, it just shows, for some reason, they haven't deleted the review of the NoFX Rancid split. So it like recommends that instead. So someone did input the data, but they didn't reinstate that review, which I think was maybe even by Ryan Schreiber. Like and I think he's like straight up a tech guy now that he's got that Condé Nast money. So good for him.
I mean, good for him, yeah. But like, I just think, you know, this is so emblematic of what. Because I still read Pitchfork. I think Pitchfork serves a purpose. Like, you know, our opinions about sort of music journalism aside, and maybe mine are soft. Like, ultimately, my line is softer than yours. Like, I think it is informative to have a place that is seemingly paying intelligent people to write in depth about music and contextualize it. And especially when it comes to things that I'm like less familiar with, I find that very valuable, right? Like I don't need a review to tell me, like the fucking punk reviews that they do, I find like deeply embarrassing. But if I'm like listening to something that is very outside of my sort of sphere of knowledge, I will occasionally go and like seek out the Pitchfork review because I know it will sort of point to things that are like,
yeah, I mean,
here are the influences, here's where that comes from. And that's like, that's genuinely valuable, you know?
That's definitely true. But I think the problem is that the kind of person who wants to sit down and write about music is almost definitely going to be a fucking dweeb. And that's kind of the problem.
Not only that, just a bad person, I think we can say.
Yeah, I think we can say that now. But I mean, is this the actual review that you found here?
I think this is I think someone has sort of pulled this. This is like a Pitchfork clone. I think this is the actual review. They gave it according to this, they gave it a 9.1. According to your tweets, I think it was a 9.2 review. But Pitchfork loved Let's Talk About Feelings. Unfortunately, they do not single out this song, but again, even in terms of hinting at sort of where like Joey Cape's sort of interests are, this is a good reminder that the album ends with a song called "Oh and Meanie," which I'm sure I would not have understood as a reference in 1998, 1999, but is like a John Irving reference. Where once again, like, are the Kokanee, and no disrespect to the Kokanees of the world, but they're like, oh, tight, you know, like I love John Irving novels, you know, my favorite author.
There is always one guy who, like, around the fire,
rules, eh?
He reveals his true depth late at night once everyone's passed out on Mike's Hard.
Yeah. And you're like floating in, you're like, wait, is he talking about World According to the Garp right now? What the fuck's happening?
Well, actually, World According to Gob, so maybe it is kind of a pop punk realm.
Damn. Maybe I'm just giving John Irving too much credit. Like, John Irving is some real highfalutin stuff, and it's basically like, it's like one step above John Grisham, you know?
Yo, this Pitchfork thing says, those of you who were floating around the Pitchfork channels this time last year, which like seems like the most Gen X intro to a paragraph ever, may remember a review of Lagwagon's then current offering, Double Platinum, written by yours truly. So there was 2 Lagwagon reviews that were deleted, at least, from Pitchfork.
Fuck them. Fuck these people.
But then, like, there's this guy, I feel like this guy's probably still around and seems like a complete psycho. But there was this guy who was like really popular on Twitter for a while, who was like a disgruntled ex Pitchfork guy, and I'm typing.
I hope you're. Oh yeah,
okay. And like you don't want to be like that either. Like ultimately, just like everyone needs to calm down and just fucking play Call of Duty or something. Like just calm the fuck down. Like or at least go to a show instead of just sitting around obsessing over like the inner workings of like. That you saw a publicist hanging out with a writer on Instagram or something. It's kind of psychotic. But nonetheless.
Sick. So Pitchfork loves this. They use the term heavy metal complexity again. So, you know, that wow. is maybe that's just a way that people like described this band. I don't know, but it's
I can hear it in the guitar solos. Like there's definitely some Rufio in there or some, I don't know, like some shredding going on for sure.
Yeah. And so something that we have to talk about here, so to bring it back to this song, not just the album, not just Lagwagon as a concept, May 16, as we know, this is every year Lagwagon Day. People love to wish each other a sort of jubilant, heavy metal-y complex Lagwagon Day.
It's kind of like Talk Like a Pirate Day, but for even more annoying people, I think.
Yeah. Of course, May 16, not the only thing that's happened on May 16.
2 days after my brother Johnny's birthday. So that's probably part of it, I would think.
That's very important. May 16, also the day that Top Gun was released. It was the day of the very first Academy Awards. It was in 1985, the day that Michael Jordan was named the Rookie of the Year in the NBA. And in 2013, the day that human stem cells were successfully cloned. So
I'm noticing you're not mentioning what happened in 1944 on that day.
Oh yeah, no, I can't read that one quite that well. Look at any time you look at a date, there's something bad that happened in the 40s. But yes, evidently on May 16th.
I wonder what's like the most like chill day in history. That would be a cool some.
I was going to say it's got to be 420, and then I was like, no, that's definitely not. It's like not a chill day at all.
That could be like a new version. I picture like the Beautiful Day in the Gulch Boys doing this kind of like they get money from NPR or like Podbean or something and do like a higher production value version, and it's like I just picture Alex going through the data in history to try to figure out what was the most chill day in history.
Yeah. Okay. So
I really need to become a producer of. No one steal this. Okay. I need to book some meetings. This is a good idea for a show.
But I would actually love to. Perhaps this is something we can talk about. And who says when I pasted this to you in Discord, the image that populates is one of these serial killers. I can't remember his name, but this mustachioed white guy serial killer.
That's my
in
profile
a top hat.
picture, Sam.
Oh shit. Fuck, but it's not coming up in it. So if anyone can remember who the mustache serial killer is, but yeah, maybe we can talk about this in Discord. It's like historically, does anyone have an idea? How do we gauge it? Is there like a some sort of?
I think you'd have to go through all of these things, and maybe like the chillness is increased if it's like International Puppo Day or whatever, and then it's decreased if there's some Auschwitz stuff that happened on that day.
Yes, if anything Auschwitz related happened on that day, that's like -10.
Yeah, maybe it needs to be weighted.
Yeah, because like Top Gun coming out rules, but that's like not.
Yeah, I don't know if that replaces some of those other things.
But it's just not chill. Like nothing is chill about Top Gun. That's like energy.
That's also true.
But something that I do, because I've never cared enough to try to like figure out sort of what the song means, but this is something that has plagued pop punkers for decades, and it seems like only in the last 5 years, like Joey Cape started doing interviews about like what the song means. Because if you go back to like songmeanings.com, there's like a lot of people sort of hypothesizing about what the song could possibly mean, and like some real like extravagant narratives, being written by the good posters here. This is from May 2002. I'm most likely way off, but just listen. A teenage boy has gotten a girl pregnant, and the parents have kicked them out and shunned them. You and her loathing this cruel world, and now they have nowhere to live. It's just another Saturday, because I guess this happens a lot in today's society. And there's like a lot of sort of people hypothesizing about the meaning of the song, but I do love, like, again, he's now sort of in various publications sort of talked about what the song means, and it's he got in a fight with a friend and was subsequently not invited to that friend's wedding, and like woke up after a one night stand and looked out the window and his friends were getting married and he wasn't invited, and so he writes this really sad song about it. But he's also,
which is again like that's so twee for it to be about that. That's like so morose and wonderfully, like, this is an indie pop song, really, with metal shredding.
100%. But here's what I'm obsessed with is he's like, I've since patched things up with those friends. We're friends again. We've even recorded a record together, he said in one interview, which means that like this is like presumably some music, like this is this Fat Mike that this song is about or something.
Oh my God.
I mean, I don't think Joe Cape's done a record with Mike, but it's like someone in a sphere where some of us might know them, but also like this song is written about that person's anniversary. So this has like become the pop punk day. The person the song is about is clearly enough in the pop punk world that they were friends with Joey Cape in the 90s, and they've since recorded an album with him.
So he's gotten this is literally, I forget what people say is the best revenge, but this is the best revenge. Writing an
anthemic pop punk song that defines your own band's career is the best revenge.
Because whenever that person's wedding day roll. Now, okay, so that's the other thing we need to do is we need to sort of dig into the records, probably just focus on California mainly, figure out which pop punk guy got married on 98. On May 16th.
No, they would have been married because
97, 96. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I guess it would have been 90. Unless, when did this album come out? Maybe he wrote it quickly. I mean, maybe it was.
Yes. So this album came out November 1998.
So it could have. It could have been. If this was the last song they recorded and then they went straight to the press, there's a chance.
Damn. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so if we can sort of do some So we can maybe do some pop punk wedding research. And I'm sure someone's done this, but like it's not on Reddit. I couldn't find it anywhere.
I got a, I'm getting even worse with kind of knowledge and communication, I guess, and just kind of like using words to convey messages to the point where I'm not just reading headlines, but I'm mostly getting my news via screenshots of articles of people dunking on them. But I did see one of those about someone, I guess, some like adult woman wasn't invited to her friend's birthday party, so she like made a startup for other people who feel sad about not being invited, and she's like helping out people who aren't invited to stuff.
Okay, I feel like Taylor Lorenz wrote about this, right?
Oh, I mean, I've only seen the screenshot of someone dunking on it, so I don't know.
I've just seen Taylor Lorenz tweeting about it. That's it.
Okay, well, there you go. Yeah, it must be. But I mean, this kind of reminds me of that, which like really fun to dunk on, really funny. Also, it is kind of sad to not get invited. The best position to be in is to get invited and not go, I think.
Have you ever not been invited to a wedding or a birthday party where you thought you should have been and you were upset? I mean, and you would have written a song like this.
I don't know about a wedding per se. I'm trying to think. Probably it's possible, but I feel like especially living in Calgary, it was like that because there's only like 10 people there. You just like if you don't get invited to something, you're kind of like, I guess I just will stay home. And if I go to the one place where everyone goes, it's going to be really awkward. So living in a big city is probably less of a problem. But when you are in a very tight knit community, it's kind of weird to not get invited out sometimes. So I kind of get it. I can empathize with the person in the screenshot that I was seeing being dunked on for their startup.
Well, should we read these lyrics and see if you can relate to them? Like if you were in Calgary and you had sort of seen a wedding happening that you weren't invited to? Because like looking at these lyrics again, you're like, these are like really, this is some beautiful, sad ass poetry from this man.
Yeah, it's very obtuse though. Hey, like, and especially with the name Lagwagon and this art and even the title of the album, like it does not fit with, it's not what I expected at all.
Which I really respect because there's no attempt to be like, this is smart music. There's subtlety here. There's like, it is telegraphing like a totally different thing.
Yeah.
Which I respect.
Okay, so are you going to read it?
I'll read it. Okay, here we go. No more waiting on them as you rise inside new rooms. It's official, you've gone. You can live for no one else. Man, the guilt must be huge. As there's no gain in failure, you succeed at being mine. Yeah, old friend, see you there. I will be proud from afar. I can paint a picture in a moment of memories, and there aren't many left. I am extradited, uninvited. It's just another Saturday. I felt like I was reading, like that actually felt awkward because when we do like the Lose and Must lyrics and it's like about the hockey score, it's like find a joke about it. Like I felt like I was doing a poetry reading, but I was like reading good poetry, and so I was both confident and uncomfortable.
That's fair. It was too close to being an earnest. You almost had to actually grapple with appreciating poetry out loud in a very weird way. But I do think
thankfully it didn't happen.
The poeticness really does shine, but then I think it still does have a bit of a immature pop punk bro feeling with the phrase "I am extradited, uninvited." It's like that's some $3 words right there for some nice pop punk lyrics. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. And then we've got take a step to freedom. You and her against this cruel world. If you're reading this on Song Meanings, you think that this means it's about a teen pregnancy. Take a breath of shelter and exhale trust and allegiance. Liberate yourself from hell. It's just another Saturday. It's just another Saturday.
So is that kind of a judgment that they're getting married to liberate themselves from hell? Trust and allegiance, like it's kind of like talking about the shackles. Maybe they're a Christian pop punker. Maybe it was Mike Herrera from MXPX.
Oh, interesting. Do you think this is an MXPX diss track? Maybe.
I'm trying to
all these like that makes this a diss track, right?
Well, Mike Herrera was married in 2001, so that doesn't really work.
But you checked, or you knew that? Were you invited? Were you not invited?
I wasn't invited. No.
Damn.
I mean, I am a little hurt that Mike Herrera keeps having like people on his podcast that have like 400 followers, and we can't get him on here. Or imagine what if he invited us onto his podcast? I think that would be pretty cool.
That would be nice.
Come on, Mike.
He's not.
I mean, I follow you and your wife on Instagram. I like everything all the time. It's like
you follow his wife. Maybe that's weird to him.
Maybe it's because I saw him on I saw them both on the what's it called, Fixer Upper or something, the HGTV show, and it was so charming. I was like, oh, I love the Herrera brood.
Aww.
So.
Still, potentially weird, potentially a red flag for him, and I can understand.
Well,
that.
It wasn't him at the wedding, so I don't know. It was. We need to figure this out. But
well, the only other thing I keep thinking about is that a friend of the pod, I believe 2-time guest, not quite a 3-timer like this week's, which we'll get to shortly. Chris Cresswell has recorded with Joey, and I think that they have a project together, and so I keep being like, this is definitely about Cresswell, like 100%. This is a song about Chris from the Flats. But
did he get married in the mid-90s?
No, I think he would have been like 2 years old at that point. So I don't think unless he got married when he was like 10 or something. I don't think this is a song about Chris. But I like when it was like and then at one point we eventually recorded an album together. I was like, that's it. This is a song about Chris. I'm going to throw that out. I'm going to throw that out into the world. That's my working theory.
Now that I know
point.
what this song is about, I just want to say more like Joey Cope. So that's all I wanted to say about that. And then you've sent me another thing here to talk about.
Well, so the one thing that I think we need to address before we maybe consider sort of letting our guests speak and then get to covers is that this song was also another reason that this is sort of the mammoth hit that it is because it was on the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 soundtrack, which I didn't even remember because my experience with the Tony Hawk 2 soundtrack is exclusively listening to Guerrilla Radio, You, and No Cigar. Like, looking at this soundtrack right now, I'm like, I don't remember any of these other songs. I don't remember when Worlds Collide being part of that experience. Like, I only remember listening to Rage, to Melancholy, and to Bad Religion. Well, do you remember this song being part of Tony Hawk?
Okay.
It obviously was. That's why it's popular. One of the reasons why it's popular.
Here's the thing. Like, in terms of the 90s, definitely not. I don't remember any of these. And in fact, that's why I don't really have much of a relationship with No Cigar, to be honest, because I think it's because I had N64, and it looks like it was mostly instrumental versions of the songs on N64. But I also definitely did like turn the music off in the game and like listen to like, I don't know, a drum and bass box set from A&B Sound or something. I was like trying to be cooler with it all the time. But I don't know. So either I had it muted.
Looping No Cigar. Like, I had friends who had like whatever PlayStation, the band that I was in high school would just hang out in the basement and play it, but we would just listen to No Cigar like over and over and over and over and over again.
Well, yeah, that was the coolest thing, was being able to control what order it played in and stuff. And then once I figured out like some precursor to Plex, I remember hooking it up so that I was playing like NHL on my Xbox and the music was muted, but I had the crowd sounds on. But then I was listening to like the first Vivian Girls album or something, like just really blending high and low in a very weird way. But this song is also very prominent in the new remaster of the game, which you should get if you don't have yet. It's so sick. But this is on, even though it's kind of just, no, I guess it is 1 and 2 together. So that's why. So it's kind of like all the songs from Tony Hawk 1 and 2 are all on there. And so definitely I mostly know it from just like being addicted to playing the remaster of the game, where I've only muted one song in the game. I think I've talked about this before on the pod, but I'm going to remind Sam in the chat because he will enjoy this. This is who I've muted.
That's funny.
but yeah, I don't know. It is cool how video games. I don't know. I mean, we've said all this shit before. Video games.
Yeah, who cares? I just felt like we need to acknowledge it.
Sam, for fuck's sake, why does this keep happening?
You'd think we would have learned the last couple of weeks. How many times have we done this, man?
It's been a lot, and we've done one that. I mean, it's happening a lot, and it will happen at least one more time, where we just keep forgetting to let our damn guest talk.
How do we do it?
Start. So unfortunately, she's been sitting here patiently waiting all this time. I think it's finally time we turn her mic on. Welcome back to the show. You're a third timer in the general pod sense. First time on just 155 pod. Welcome back, Colleen Green. What's up?
Not much.
After 3 times, I think we finally got our banter totally locked in.
Yeah, exactly.
So we had you on a lot to talk about Blink. The first time you revealed that you had a Lost Dude Ranch like full album cover album, and then the second time was when you actually went ahead and did re-record the Dude Ranch cover album. And now you're here because you've done a whole Lagwagon cover album. Is that true?
I wish I was that talented.
Do you think? Okay, so do you not think that you are good enough to do a whole Lagwagon tribute album? Are they that? Is it that much more complicated than Blink?
I mean, like, with all due respect, Tom DeLonge, I think, is a shredder, like premium shredder, even. But some of the stuff that's going on in some of those Lagwagon songs is just like, you know, obviously borderline metal. So I'm not trying to recreate any of those riffs on a bass guitar anytime soon.
I've always thought of Colleen Green as being borderline metal, so that's surprising to me to hear you say that you're sort of steering away from that. But I guess,
wow.
You know, it's there. It's just like it's very, very well hidden.
See, here's what I think. I think that a lot of people in the last few years, maybe they're even posing a little bit. I feel like everyone has pretended to always be a Blink-182 fan all along in the last couple of years as they've had this resurgence. But I kind of think that being a Lagwagon fan is a sign that you're a true head in pop punk.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I in looking for guests for this episode discovered that you could search people that you follow to see who's tweeted about a band, and it's yielded some like lovely discoveries. And so, Colleen, I messaged you because I was like, I saw that 10 years ago you tweeted about Lagwagon, which is like not a weird thing at all to DM somebody. But again, because like we think of you in this very Blink-182 sense, but obviously you are a true head. You are a Lagwagon fan. Tell us about your relationship to Lagwagon. And because I feel like some of our listeners know you in the context of Blink-182, how does your relationship to Lagwagon differ from your relationship to Blink-182?
I think I discovered Blink-182 at a younger age, and Blink-182 was very much a gateway band for me. I discovered them probably at age like 12 or 13, I want to say. The progression was age 11, Sublime, and then Blink-182 is what came next. And they were like a little bit more mainstream when I discovered them, which is the only reason I discovered them at that age. I think they probably said this on the show before, but I think they were a buzz clip on MTV. Damn It was. And yeah, Blink-182 at that age for me was very much like a validation of my identity. And Lagwagon was relatively just a great band that I discovered kind of through that gateway into punk. And I don't think they had quite as big of an impact on me, but I loved them all the same. Trashed is my album, and they were one of the elite bands that I owned a T-shirt of in high school and would like doodle their logo constantly. There was like an elite few, and they were part of that group.
Who else was in the T-shirt crew for you in high school?
I pretty much owned every Sublime T-shirt that existed, except for this like one long sleeve one that I always regretted not buying. But yeah, it was Sublime. Blink-182 had tons of their shirts. I had a lot of RX Bandits shirts.
Ooh.
I had a Lagwagon T-shirt, and I had a NoFX T-shirt that I loved that just disappeared one day, and I still think about it, and I'm still upset that I have no idea what happened to it. I got it at Hot Topic, and it was like an XXL and I sewed it myself to make it fit me, and it was like the perfect t-shirt. No idea what happened to that. And I had a Link 80 t-shirt that I also sewed to make fit me, that I really loved. And I actually still have that one, and I wear it to this day.
Sick. That's a strong t-shirt collection for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. What was your, like, I feel like, I have no idea, but I just feel like with all the bands you're listing, I'm curious, what was your relationship with, like, skate culture and skateboarding?
I would classify myself as a poser.
Hell yeah. Welcome.
Yeah,
welcome.
same.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I like pretty much the extent of my relationship with skate culture was going to this one store at my local mall that was called Streetwear. And to me, it was kind of a precursor to Pacific Sunwear. They both kind of like showed up in my mall at around the same time. But Streetwear was much smaller. I don't know if it was a chain or if it was just one store. Maybe it was a small chain, but like they just had a lot of like, it was just like a skater store kind of. And like me and my best friend would go in and like talk to the cute boys that worked there or whatever. And I remember my like normie friends in high school would make fun of me for wanting to shop there. But, you know, it was a good place to get like t-shirts with hibiscus flowers on them. I owned a skateboard that I think was a hand-me-down from like an older cousin. And I would go home after school and like attempt to stand on the skateboard. Couldn't do really much else. And one day I came home from school and the skateboard was in the trash. And that was, I think, very symbolic for me. And that was pretty much where it ended.
Fair enough.
But a lot of my friends like purported to be skaters. And I think it was mostly like we hung out at the mall a lot and like wanted to be in the movie Mallrats.
Right. It was kind of like the only option other than being a normie for a while. People don't realize this.
Yeah.
It was the binary.
Exactly.
I feel like... Sorry.
No, because I was just going to ask about Pacific Sunwear. Or was that what it was? I don't know. Josiah, do you know that store?
Well, I just know it as PacSun, right? Isn't that what it's been abbreviated to?
That's what PacSun is.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe someone who knows their North American brands can correct me or argue, but I feel like PacSun is kind of like West 49. It's just like a mall skate shop, right?
I was going to say, is West 49 Canadian? Like, Colleen, do you know West 49?
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, that's Canadian. I feel like probably PacSun, like West 49, is like the shop that all of the real true local skaters think is toy or something. Maybe that's a graffiti term. I'm just trying to be cool.
Whoa, yeah, that's new to me.
It didn't work, man. It did not work. I know we're here to talk about Lagwagon, but you mentioned Sublime a couple of times, and I feel like a few months
Sorry, I can't help it.
No, and thank God that you can't, because I feel like a couple of months ago there was like a semi-viral Vice article about reassessing Sublime, and you, in my mind, were like leading the online resistance against this article. Do you remember what was the deal? Because it was basically like Sublime, maybe you're wrong and they're good, but it was basically like an article about how Sublime was bad. And I feel like I can picture you doing a lot of like, please delete this article and getting a lot of support. Am I right?
Yeah, oh God, that article was so embarrassing. I still think about it. I was thinking about it a couple days ago and just like how like embarrassed I still am about that article and like how embarrassed the writer should be. I definitely tweeted at Vice that they need to delete it. And actually, Josiah, when you said earlier, you said something about Blink-182 being like, do people really like them now? Or is it just like it's cool to like them or something now? People are jumping on the bandwagon. But almost brought up that when you said that, because that's what it reminded me of. But that was just very incensing to me. It was like how I finally decided to like.
I just pulled it up. How I stopped caring and embraced my love of Sublime.
Yes, exactly. Like, wow, I think something that I like actually enjoyed in my life, in spite of myself. Like maybe I'll admit to it finally because like it's cool. And I didn't read the whole thing, but I read like half of it. And it was just like ripping on them the whole time. but being like, actually, maybe I should have read the whole thing if I'm going to be talking.
Nah,
No,
you don't
that's
need
fine.
to. That's more than enough.
It was basically like, I hated them because it was cool to hate them, but now I like them because it's cool to like them.
Right. Yeah. I feel like this
so-
is part of the merch-based economy too. Like whatever is being reprinted and sold at H&M or whatever is people are like, oh, I guess I like Sublime now because the Sun logo is cool. I mean, I honestly, truthfully, really hated Sublime when I was younger, and I have softened to them probably for the exact same reason. But I'm not going to write a whole article about it.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a kind of a poorly written, like, I don't know. I was questioning if it was even like edited or if they just kind of threw it online because they knew it would like get a lot of traffic or something. I don't know.
Well, it worked.
Yeah, we're talking about it. You almost brought it up before I brought it up. Like we're all constantly thinking about the Vice Sublime article. It's good for them, and it is not a good sign.
But
for
this
us.
is the other thing I'm ruminating on this month, and maybe you have some thoughts on it. But you know, Blink-182 is kind of like everyone's ripping off Blink-182 all the time, trying to sound like Enema of the State, and then Sublime is cool now or whatever. When do you think, or is it possible for the Oompa 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 Fat Records skate punk kind of sound to come back into fashion, or do you think it'll never happen?
That's an interesting question. I think Sublime and Blink-182 were a really, really big part of culture in the 90s, and they kind of evolved from being more underground to like suddenly like being catapulted into the mainstream. And I think that has a lot to do with it. And none of the bands on like Fat Records ever really kind of had that same type of trajectory. So I don't know. They might not just like be as polarizing, and so it might not be as interesting. But
It's true. Yeah.
I mean, if there was going to be one, who would it be?
I don't know. Like I just dream of some band coming out and having like the double kick pedal, ridiculously fast skate punk drums. Like I just feel like no one has the guts to do that, and I'm disappointed in them.
Josiah, maybe it should be you.
I think it's gonna have to be, honestly.
I think so. I feel like something that we've talked about a lot. So since like we transitioned from Blink-155 to this sort of like newer, broader, infinitely less focused, as opposed to the sort of really sharp focus of Blink-155 series, something that kind of comes up a lot, especially in talking about bands from this area, is like people who have like that it's very hard to age sometimes within, you know, pop punk in particular. And a lot of the fat bands, like this month we're doing all Epitaph. And so like a lot of these bands have not like, so the songs sometimes still rip, but like they're like when they play now or they like look really uncomfortable. And I feel like, and I don't know, Colleen, if you can kind of conjure 2021 Joey Cape in your mind, but I feel like Lagwagon has like aged well. And I mean, from a purely aesthetic standpoint. Do you have any opinion on sort of how Lagwagon has maybe aged versus some of these other bands?
I think personally, Joey Cape has aged very well. He still looks good.
That's what I'm saying. He's like, I feel like Joey Cape is like one of the most handsome men in pop punk.
He definitely is like a teen idol of that Fat Records. I mean, I don't know. Amongst that roster, he definitely is like, a beefcake amongst those characters. But honestly, I don't really know what any of the other guys in Lagwagon look like.
There's just the really tall guy. Like I can basically picture like Joey Cape. Yeah, and there's a guy. One of the guys in Lagwagon is even shorter than Joey Cape.
Yeah, I've never really looked at them before until today. But someone in our Discord was talking about the height discrepancy amongst the band, and it's like
it's outrageous.
When they're taking band photos, like use some stools or something to even it out a little bit. But instead, it's just like it's kind of incredible.
Huh. Maybe they wanted to just run with that because it made them stand out, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, have you ever shared the stage with someone who's dramatically shorter or taller than you, and how did it make you feel?
Not that I can think of. No.
I mean, I have when we did Blink-150 Live. I
right.
beside someone dramatically
Towered
shorter.
over me. Thank you so much. No, it's because I mean, there was one time that like somebody like in a band that I played in college, somebody filled in and they were like a foot taller than the rest of us, and it looked fucked. Like I saw a photo of it, and I was like, it doesn't work. Like you just sort of need to congregate with, you just need to stay with your own kind is sort of the message.
Yeah, that's kind of why, like, that's kind of a big reason I think the Go-Go's were so, like, beloved.
It's just the right height.
What a strangely specific reference. Actually, speaking of Sublime,
that's it. That's the only thing.
I feel like Rome is a lot taller than the rest of Sublime, or am I imagining that? Maybe Rome just stands out so much that it
towers. Have you seen Sublime with Rome, Colleen?
I have not. I try to avoid them.
That's going to be my article. How I stopped caring and praised my love of Sublime with Rome.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good one.
At the place where I used to live, like we had a deck, and it sort of stretched out over this, like it was an abandoned slaughterhouse, and then there was this field where they used to have music festivals a lot. And one time Sublime with Rome was playing, and so we could hear the wind was blowing, right? You could kind of hear everything that happened there. And so you could hear the entire Sublime with Rome set, and they play a lot of covers, including, I think they opened with like Lithium. So Sublime with Rome is like doing a lot for like the entire 90s culture, including playing Nirvana covers. So I feel like if you get the opportunity, it might not be a bad time, or it might be a really bad time.
To what? Play with them?
I mean, to see them. I mean, obviously, if you had an opportunity to play with them, it would be great. I hope you would jump at that opportunity.
I don't think I want to.
It's reasonable.
It's hard enough to get me to go see a band that I like absolutely love. So I don't think I will, but you never know. There's not
going to be any fair weather noob Sublime fans at a Sublime with Rome show. At least it's going to be the truest of the true heads.
Yeah.
I wonder. I like wonder who their fans are. Like in my estimation, it would have to just be that type of person that just like fucking loves live music and like loves anyone and doesn't necessarily even know like what Sublime is.
Yeah.
Because I just can't see like an actual Sublime fan thinking that was acceptable. And I don't even know who's in the band at this point. I know it's like, I feel like maybe Eric Wilson is still playing bass because of his like debilitating meth habit, but I don't even know if that's true.
Well, definitely Rome is in the band. We know that much.
Yeah.
It's the only thing we know for sure.
I want to ask you a little bit about this song, even though we haven't done the full episode yet. So I don't even know what it means. But what do you think about songs that are like have a date as the title, and then like as the year goes on, it's like May the 4th be with you kind of thing, where everyone's like, oh, it's Lagwagon Day.
Oh God. I mean, I think having dates in songs is cool, and I actually did that. One of my like newest songs that just came out, "It's Nice to Be Nice." I dropped the year 2019, and it sounds ridiculous now because it just came out and it's 2021.
Right.
But I've always kind of thought that was cool. I mean, that's something that Sublime did a lot. And I like the idea of the May 16th thing. I think people like I was driving on the highway recently, and all the like highway LED advisory signs were saying weird stuff about Star Wars, and I was so confused until like hours later I realized it was May 4th, and that's like a Star Wars thing. And I think it's just like the worst thing ever.
So you were at least smart because like you name dropped a date that is in the past. So you're never going to be in danger of some like sort of cringeworthy, like, oh, it's Colleen Green Day, because really it's just like Colleen Green year. It's already 2 years ago. Like you're fine. You're sort of protected.
Good point.
So
is
you
that
mentioned,
a thing though? People say May 16th. Oh, happy Lagwagon Day.
Yeah, it's big time Lagwagon Day. They did some live streams this year around it. Like they've really embraced it. It's like it's a thing.
Well, I guess like for them, that's cool. But yeah. Like, I don't know. I just can't I don't know. That's just me. I can't see myself celebrating such a holiday.
So you will not be recognizing Lagwagon Day by spinning your copy of Trashed on vinyl, is what you're saying?
No.
Reasonable. You did mention, okay, new song though. You have a new album that is coming out pretty soon. I feel like this is almost like borderline very professional, like having you on a show to promote something that's actually upcoming. So what's going on in Colleen Greenworld?
Sure. Yeah, I have an album coming out in just under a month from today. It comes out September 10th.
The classic day.
Is it?
I don't know. I just just trying to kind of amp it up.
Colleen Green Day, of course.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking as you were saying that.
Everyone knows, and people should they pre-order it? Should they pre-add it? What's the stuff that people are supposed to do now to like be decent when it comes to new music?
People are supposed to pre-order it, pre-save it, and I don't know, talk about it on the internet, I guess. Share it on Instagram.
Hell yeah. And is there anything else important to promote in this, the illustrious promotional spot of a podcast? Or is that the focus?
For me?
Yeah. I mean, also for Josiah. Josiah, do you have anything to promote?
No, I mean, I've already talked about Sublime with Rome enough, so I'm good.
Okay, so I guess Colleen, you. Anything else?
I don't think so. No, just that's the big one. Because, yeah, I haven't had an album come out in over 5 years. And this is a really good album. So Colleen Green, cool, September 10th.
Hell yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Colleen.
Thanks, Colleen.
Thanks for having me.
I feel like there's something... Sorry, Sam, I feel like there's something I was going to ask you about.
I mean, were you going to ask me where all the covers come from? Because the answer is Patreon gatekeepers. And then were you going to ask me how much time they had to make these covers? Because I was going to tell you it's 96 hours or less. And if you were going to ask me how you could support the podcast or perhaps get involved yourself, I would then tell you that for $5 a month, you, Josiah, could get the early tip on next week's song. And if you were to say, well, do I get anything else? Because, like, I don't really fucking give a shit. I'd be like, that's fine. Because in addition to getting the tip and just the tip, you would get bonus episodes, early episodes, a newsletter. The newsletter is quite good. And the Discord. And all of these songs, if you were to say, okay, you're only going to play a minute of these songs, aren't you? And I would say, yes, we are. Because, I mean, it's late and it's long. But all of these songs will be available in full on our Bandcamp. And you'd say, when? And I would say Monday.
I was actually going to ask you, what is your exact height in numbers? That's what it was. I just remembered.
I should measure. Because I've been saying 5'7" for a long time, but then I've seen people who are 5'7" and they look short.
They look short? Are you sure?
I'm thinking I'm at least 5'8" and a half.
I don't know about that. We're gonna have to do that meetup at Avril Lavigne's favorite pizza spot.
We are. We're gonna stand back to back.
We'll do a back to back photo shoot. Although I don't think I can do a profile photo shoot at this point. I'm gonna need to work on my improving my profile at this point. This week's first cover is the return of the group Yeah He Dies. Forced myself to create something this week as life has been kicking my ass lately. Thanks, Cooper. Cooper, I'm sorry to hear that, but the other thing about Cooper, I'm pretty sure Cooper in jolly old United Kingdom, England, it was either him or someone else. Cooper was part of a meet cute on the train recently where someone was wearing a 155
I saw
sweater.
That, yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I mean, that can't... is that part of life kicking your ass? I hope not. I hope that's a nice little meet cute in the middle of it all.
That was definitely the worst thing that happened to Cooper.
I wonder what is the worst pod-related meet cute for any kind of podcast fandom. You have some sort of, like... Imagine some people... I'm actually surprised. Sorry, I'm just kind of babbling at this point. But I'm just kind of surprised that... Has there been an official, like, dating couple I know it's been hinted at. I know there's been some things that maybe fizzled out or something, but I'm curious, like, who's the first couple of the pod who really made it, other than me and you, I guess.
Yeah, you and I are the first couple of the pod.
Okay, here's He Dies with May 16 when skating. Whoa. Cool skate sounds.
Cool.
This is so satisfying.
You say that the length of this is what it is?
Oh, I heard some nice syncopation on those drums.
This is just immaculately vibed out.
I'm watching the waveform, and that's a beautiful waveform that is forming here. Wow, to think we only play a minute of this, so it's just about to come in. I'm imagining maybe we'll reach some sort of beautiful Dan Snaith caribou kind of climax or something.
Ooh, she can say, she go where she's gonna say. Yeah, totally. Very Snaith-esque. It's a skate Snaith.
Thank you, Cooper. Well, I hope that life stops kicking your ass and starts eating it soon, because that's what people do nowadays. Here's a band called Placemat, which is Tender Hell, Sparkling Caleb, Dr. Bugman 31, and Shoes Robinson. My God, that is a super group if I've ever seen one. We're starting at the 1 minute mark. Are you ready?
No, I don't think I'll ever be ready.
True.
It's just another Saturday. It's just another Saturday. And I've got nothing left to say. Take a step towards freedom. You know against the wind. Take a breath of shelter. And this little trust liberate yourself from hell. It's just another Saturday, and I've got nothing left to say. It's just another Saturday, and I've got nothing left to say.
It's just...
Oh my God.
All four of the people involved with this, if you're new to this show, they all pretty much submit every week, sometimes multiple submissions. And I think it's safe to say, however many weeks we've been doing this, I can't remember, we crunched the numbers earlier. I don't want to get into a whole thing again about that, but, from November to November, it's kind of, somewhere within the realm of between 10 and 300 episodes, I think, we've done thus far.
Yeah, whatever the average is between that.
These four people have, especially now that they're kind of congealing into groups with each other, the advancements that have happened, even when they try to do a Pavement impression sometimes or whatever, it's it's so progressive sounding. This sounded so organic but so futuristic at the same time. It's just kind of it's not it's not prog in a dirty word, but it's prog in a very that's interesting music. You know what I mean?
Totally. That was fucking vibey as hell. I'm so excited to already hear both of those in full.
So cool. All right, 155 intern has chosen May 155th for the song title. We're starting at 227. Pick it up, motherfucker, it says. Let's go.
Ooh. All right. Whoa. Okay.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I gotta say,
this is very close-minded, but or just obviously.
Oh no! What is Sam about to say? It's very close.
Yeah, not close-minded, but it's like indicating like a limited frame of reference, maybe. But it's been real like steamy, dreamy up until the last couple of days in Toronto. So I was like out for a hot strut, picking up some, yogurt or something, and I was listening to the Jeff Rosenstock No Dream ska remix album, Ska Dream, and was like, this is really fucking good. And that sounded a lot like a Jeff Rosenstocky ska track to me. Again, based on more like limited frame of reference is what I'm saying, as opposed to closed mind. It's fucking great.
That you were going to pick up yogurt on just a hot day, strutting to get some yogurt.
Nothing tastes better than a big cup of yogurt on a 40 degree.
Milk was a bad choice. The other thing I wanted to say is that reminded me that just like last week, and I think I was accused of why don't I marry the Lose and Must guitar solo, and maybe I actually, if that was an option and if my wife was open to it, I would definitely, we'd have that conversation. But
you should open up your marriage for sure.
Just do guitar solos, though.
Yeah, exactly.
But this song has a very like sophisticated guitar solo that has like, especially in the ska version, you could hear there's like almost a bum note at one part that really adds to the metal guitar feeling, where it's slightly amelodic because it's like dipping scales or doing a mode or something fancy. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just talking.
It's dipping scales, baby.
I'm just trying to
look
fill
at it.
the
Seems
air.
like you. It seems like you generally. Lord knows the pod is never long enough. Thank God you're here to fill the air. It seems like maybe what you want to do is open up your relationship just to guitar solos generally, like that you're sort of. You're guitar solo curious for sure.
For some reason, my algorithm used to always feed me like tattoo content, and I fucking hate tattoo posts for some reason. I just find them so like, keep that shit to yourself. But now maybe it's because I followed She Shreds magazine a couple years ago. I just constantly fed like the sickest guitar solos every day, and I just sit around watching guitar solos, and it's so tight.
Oh yeah.
So
fuck, I had a sort of like, it felt like a sort of She Shreds level video that I realized I did not play, but maybe I'll share that in the Discord. That could be like a little treat for just on social later.
Yeah, okay, sick. The next one, it says, in your best pint and pagement accent, please, Gord. So I don't know, can you see this? I'll paste it into the chat so you can. I feel like you're more of the accent. You're kind of the impressions and accent guy of our dynamic, which is something I never really expected would happen. But no, I mean, saying that in a good way. Like, it's like everyone needs a Jay Farrow or someone else, or maybe there's another famous impression person.
What do you at? Like, is that like some sort of hoser slang? Because that's throwing me off. Like, I don't know how to say that in a Pine Pageman accent.
Well, this is called Great Big Lake, Ontario, so I'm guessing that's supposed to be like Great Big Sea, maybe.
Oh, right. Okay. What do you at? I can't. What do you at's really throwing me off.
Yeah. What do you at?
Come cool off your bones with a dip in Great Big Lake, Ontario. I knows you're not stunned. We've got DRMC, Ryan G, Sean Mendes' lawyer's best friend, Teen Jazz, and introducing the future patrons of Ontario. Oh, me nerves.
Here we go. These fucking people have made me like all kinds of things, and now they're going to make me like Great Big Sea. I know it.
No more waiting on them as you rise inside new rooms. It's official, you've gone. You can live for no one else, man. The guilt must be huge. There's no gain in failure. You succeed me in mine, yeah. Body last, see you there. I will be proud from afar. I can paint a picture in a moment of memories, and there are many left. I am extradited, uninvited. Merrimack's gonna get married on Saturday.
My God.
Mary May's going to get married on Saturday? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Mary May is
Also,
gonna
I got to apologize here because Woodiette is Newfoundland slang, but I'm just utterly unfamiliar with it. So this was too real for me. This
well, it's too many
this
regions.
introduction.
That you're supposed to be doing a Newfoundland via Lake Ontario accent. That's kind of confusing.
Yeah, and then Pine and Pagement. I was trying to figure out like what is the Pine and Pagement voice?
Yeah, it's just kind of like, I guess, all a little bit Irish, probably. Is the kind of
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. Like ultimately, it's just Conan O'Brien doing an impression of Irish people.
Up next, Tightrope Tiger, May 16th with the TH. Oh, that could have been fun if we did a whole thing about like why some of them are TH and some of them are RD and that kind of thing with the dates. You know, that probably could have been an hour of content in this episode.
At least.
Whoa.
Okay. Chill lo-fi Lagwagons to study to.
This is so sick.
Incredible.
It's lush. It is. You have to use the cliche. Is this an interview with my boy Joey Cope?
This has got to be Randall Cope.
That is transcendent. The music with the sort of vibey interview. Whenever you put any kind of interview quote behind music like that, well, never mind. I was going to say that if you put an interview quote on top of electronic music, that it instantly sounds elevated and kind of beautiful, like it's from a documentary. But I forgot about the WE scandal that we've been listening to.
Right. So, maybe the exception that proves the rule. I don't know.
It could be.
It adds like instant gravitas, though.
Yeah, right.
Like the instrumental suddenly feels like it's important, and everything being said is like has an emotional weight to it. You know.
I think also because you can't make out every word, so you're filling in the gaps and be like, "Damn, this guy's sharing his soul right now."
Yeah.
But really, what he's saying is, "I told Prime Minister Harper that the WE Foundation." Okay, up next is Wedding Pumas, right? You're supposed to say Puma. I always want to say Puma.
Pumas.
I think whenever people talk about,
I would say wedding Pumas. Pumas.
When people talk about the shoes, they say Pumas. But
when they talk about the animal, they say the Pumas.
I don't know. I just always want to say Pumas, and I mean, I would never wear those shoes ever in my life, so I would probably never talk about them out loud. But
I used to have Pumas. I was a big Puma head.
Yeah, I mean, I might have at one point in my life, but that would have been many, many, many years ago. I'm definitely not a Puma or Puma head, but I'm probably a Wedding Pumas head because this is Todd Killings and Shoes Robinson.
Oh, damn. Yeah, you're about to be a big time Wedding Puma head.
Todd's original idea was to do a super tender tearjerker of a jam, but we ended up with something completely different and honestly sick as hell. Let's fucking go. It's a beautiful rendition, but also like a beautiful melody in this song that really, I guess it kind of is like, it's not Pachelbel's canon, but it does have that regal kind of wedding feeling. So that kind of fits perfectly, knowing that it's about this fucking sad ass loser who can't even get his ass invited to a wedding.
Can't even get invited to a wedding, you fucking loser.
You sad that you didn't get a email that links to thenot.com? I don't know. Maybe that's more of a 2000s
This guy loves
thing.
paperlesspost.com.
That was so sick, and there's still 2 minutes left of that, and I cannot wait to hear what happens. Like, because of the melody, too, it does feel like it's constantly building to somewhere, and I want to know where it's going.
Take me with you.
Up next is Nick Ibis featuring Smelly Chops, International May 16 Day. Nick recorded a beautiful, heartfelt rendition and then very kindly let me and my iffy accordion skills join in. Let's go.
What does it mean to have great accordion skills?
Yeah, I mean, there's one man who does. I think if you're not Weird Al, then you have iffy accordion skills.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
I think that's correct.
No more waiting on them as you rise inside new rooms. It's official.
There's a no use for name called song called International U Day, and this is that.
I see. See,
Yeah.
I don't know about this kind of stuff.
Field must be huge.
I mean,
It's all
this is like
new
an
to me.
acoustic and accordion version of it. Yeah.
Okay, so the no use for name one is not.
No.
You succeed at being mine, yeah, old friend. See you there. I will be proud, but only from afar, and I can paint a memory.
The accordion's not sounding very iffy to me.
Yeah, this is like a big time yes accordion.
Yeah, it's sounding itty. What's the opposite of the word if? As? It's sounding assy.
If
as
what is
if.
the? No, that's good.
If is
Iffy.
like
If
something that might happen is an if. So then
If
something that
this
did
happens to
happen
be-
was
then it's thenny.
then-y. Yeah, that's true. If and then. That was a very then-y accordion. Absolutely.
Yeah, big time then vibes.
Just another Strega day. Here's to you. It's just another Saturday. This is Althea Later and Ern Estham, who was really posting some great shit on Discord this week. Really started quite a convo.
The Discord has been illuminating.
It's kind of freaking Sam out, I think, some of the shit.
I was like, what's happening here? Yeah.
I saw the Laters recently bought a piece of gear that I've wanted for a long time, so I requested some tasty drones from Althea this week. So it's Althea Laters. That's who they're referencing. Because of that, it only felt right to do something with a little chaos and math. May 16 has 21 lines, so I chopped the last duplicate and assigned the others to the sides of a D20. I rolled until I had a sequence of 155 lines from May 16, and I read them through in one take. The final product reminds me of someone a little broken rehearsing a wedding toast they never got to give. Wow. So I don't really understand.
Intense conceptually.
I don't really get what I just read, but this is 8.5 minutes long. We're starting around the 3-minute mark.
Create yourself from hell. It's just another Saturday. I will be proud from afar. As you rise inside new rooms, it's just another Saturday. I will be proud from afar. It's official. You've gone. It's just another Saturday. No more waiting on them. I can paint a picture. I will be proud from afar. You succeed at being mine, and I'll be proud from afar. As there's no gain in failure, I will be proud from afar. I can paint a picture. It's just another Saturday. Yeah, old friend. See you there. As you rise inside new rooms, it's just another Saturday. And exhale trust and allegiance. As there's no gain in failure, you and her against this cruel world.
I love the idea of, like, you know, I feel like a lot of the people who are involved with the pod could fit this vision I have in my mind of, like, someone who actually does go to a wedding and it's like a very normie wedding, but because this is how these people express themselves in here, and it is very touching and beautiful in this context, but I love the idea of it being a wedding and, like, you know, the sister of the bride does the speech about, like, oh, we both had a crush on Jonathan Taylor Thomas and it was so funny, and, like, there's, like, polite laughter, and then one of the people from the pod does this, like, droned out, like, experimental poetry thing. I love that idea. I would love
They brought
to
a
see
theremin on stage.
Yeah. Like I took your wedding vows and I rearranged them using a die. And,
Yes.
and I've hired an improvisational dance troupe to join me. I hope that you are as moved by this as I am, or something.
Maybe if we determine that there has been a who is the second couple of the Naish after you and me, and they eventually get married, it can be all truly sort of touching tributes like that.
Up next is Ocean God. That's an interesting band name that could be, a reference to a joke that we made like 3 days ago and I already don't remember. Or
it feels like it's something, but I do not know what.
Ocean God. I like it a lot. So we're starting around 1 minute in.
Take a step to freedom. You and her against this cold. Take a breath of shelter and exhale. Trust and allegiance. Liberate yourself from
It's just another Saturday.
This is just a rearrangement of Soothing is normally the band name, but now it's Ocean God. That's what it is.
This is
I cracked the code.
It's just another Saturday.
Man, Soothing is so good. That's like
Soothing is so good. Is that kind of what Low sounds like? Basically,
I
that's
think,
like my
yeah.
memory of seeing Low once.
it's pretty similar to Low.
I wish
think.
that was what actually Low sounded like.
I mean, yeah, let's not get into that right now. But it's close. It's definitely of that realm, and it makes me curious, like how much of an indie sweater wearer really is Joey Cape? Like, if he heard that, would he fuck with it? You think, or is he?
Oh, for
Or
sure.
is that sweater wearing him? Like that's what I'm trying to figure out. We got to really get to the bottom of the indie sweaterness of Joey Cape. But first, we got to tend to our little baby boy, the baby Tyler, who has been doing unplugged covers for the last few weeks. This is the final unplugged cover before he kicks back and has a little tantrum with his electric guitar. But first, the final unplugged baby Tyler, May 16th. Let's go.
No more waiting on them as you rise inside new rooms. It's official, you've gone. You can live for no one else. Man, the guilt must be huge.
This song is very malleable.
There's no
working
pain in
a lot of
failure. You succeed in being mine.
Beautiful.
Fuck.
So nice.
I'm sad to be losing Unplugged Baby Tyler. It's been a real treat.
I mean, Baby Tyler could unplug anywhere, really. And actually, so could any of us. We could all choose to, unplug a little bit and reconnect with our surroundings. But do we? No, we don't. And that's the sad thing about this is exclusive for our demo now. It says, I didn't have any guitar in last week's submission, and I know Joey likes to play solo, so I decided to do a stripped-down version of the song, just vocals and guitar. Okay. This rules. There's so many like really beautiful ones, but then every once in a while you need one that you can feel in your molars too, you know?
Yeah, totally. I just love that I was expecting that to maybe kind of sound like some of the other acoustic things we had heard. This is a really great, like, I was taken quite aback.
Although, again, it's an interesting choice because when you're doing really abrasive, noisy music and then you present it in a way that is a prank, one might not take it seriously as much as they should, because I do think that sounds.
Well,
really,
I take that seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I would be just as happy if it was presented with like an essay and I could stroke my chin to it. But I also liked the prank elements. It's kind of like, I don't know if you can do both at once, but I still appreciated that. I'm just trying.
I didn't even take that as a prank. I was like, that was stripped down.
It's true. That's true. You're right.
It was just that we just assumed something. That's not. That isn't necessarily.
So it was less of a prank and more of a kind of. I mean, we played ourselves, really, to quote.
It was sort of like a doctor is at work and two patients come in and the doctor says, I can't operate on these patients. The point is the doctor ends up being a woman, and it's about how you're a sexist because you don't think the doctor's a woman.
Exactly. And I was thinking that the whole time. I was thinking, is he talking about the nurse right now? Next is Clown College Dropout. Such vast-sounding productions this week.
No more way, no way, no way. She rises inside me, she rises inside me. It's official, we've gone to 15. Time to live for now. And the gut must be easy, what must be done. It's no gain and failure, failure. We succeed again now. We succeed again. Yeah, old friend, see you later.
Wow.
That's fucking awesome.
More of the spoken word energy from earlier, too.
I know. You know what? I think it's like a hard song to sing.
Right.
And so I feel like that's driving people a little bit to these like slightly different interpretations, and they're all super interesting.
The drums were really cool in there too. Like there was like a rolling. I keep referring to things as trap lately, and I don't know if it necessarily was, but there was like a kind of produced element in the background of an otherwise wonderfully organic sounding. I mean, Clown College Dropout, you've done it once again. You deserve your diploma. Really.
It wasn't trapless, I think.
Yeah, exactly. There was a little bit of entrapment in there, I think. Okay, up next is Mind Shoulder with an edit of the album cover as well. Here, this is Mind Shoulder, May 16, Have a Nice Day, is what they've written.
It's just another Saturday.
There's a tiny bit of trap in there, too.
Oh, we're trapping.
That one, I love when there's ones where I actually can't even make any reference point and it just sounds really like nice. It's like a nice
totally.
rock tune.
You know, if anything, that kind of reminded me of like Bad Astronaut. Like that's what Bad Astronaut sounds like to me.
And that's Joey Cape's. I think
like sort of power pop.
When we took
band,
a little break to pee earlier, we somehow just kept talking about Joey Cape the whole time and didn't record about it.
Like we wanted to share our like real opinions of him, which are like he rocks. Like
I mean, let's be honest. There was some pretty banging CanCon gossip going on too. But
That's true, actually. So interspersed with just sort of more affection for Joey Cope was
we need to make
big
like
time goth.
an NSA tier where you just get to spy on us in our homes all the time. On
Oh,
Patreon.
right. So
Really
there's,
get that.
there's the chat tier, but then there's the like full U8 TV, the Lofters tier.
Up next is the Fake Plodes, May 16. He's been doing like, there was like that doo-wop cover a little while ago. There's been all kinds of like true impressions going on from the Fake Plodes lately. But this week he says, I got tired of doing style parodies like I'm Weird Al. Kind of a second reference to Weird Al this week. Just saying, this is just how I would have done the song.
Okay, sick.
So not to get conceptual right now and stall for some reason. This is just how I would. This is just how I would have done the song. But you did do the song. Like, what's so? Is he doing an impression of himself doing this, or do you know what I mean?
Well, in many ways, aren't we all just doing an impression of ourselves?
It's true. This one literally has different elements of all the other covers we've heard so far. I think I even hear accordion.
This is so sick. This feels like a 90s.
It still kind of does sound like Weird Al, but like one of the cool Weird Al originals that are underappreciated.
Oh my god, yeah.
Wow. Oh my god.
Fuck yeah.
I can't wait to hear what you do next, the Fake Plodes. That was sick as hell.
Great impression of yourself.
I think people have already started sending in B-sides for the next B-sides comp, but they have been told to label them. This one's not labeled B-sides, so I think this is a cover of the song. The Sun is Red and the Air is Thick by Desiree Path. Do Demons Pod in Hell? This one really ascends into spiritual euphony in the middle, but seemed too jarring and loud to start this. We're going to start at the beginning. It's 4 minutes long. I think this is not a B-side. I'm pretty sure, but we'll maybe we can parse that as we listen. That's very sick. I mean,
Holy shit. I think that was a cover. I heard the word official in there, which.
well, I mean, it just sounded like pure Lagwagon, really. I mean, that's all.
That's the thing.
factors
Sorry,
of
so you're
Lagwagon.
right. I didn't really need to parse the lyrics. That was just like
That sounded like
the classic
sounded like
Lagwagon worship.
the Pitchfork approved band Lagwagon. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was honestly a little derivative. It was like, okay.
Okay,
We've all
just
heard Lagwagon before.
just a straightforward
you know?
cover of the Epithet
Yeah.
sound. Okay, yeah, I get it.
But cool, I guess.
Yeah, I've
That was
seen.
fucking gorgeous and upsetting.
It was really cool. Up next is Pod Mortality. Now, there's a name I haven't seen in a while. Pod Mortality, May 16. I did this in a hurry. It's pretty sloppy, but I love this song too much not to cover it. All right, well, let's hear it.
All right.
I mean, this kind of music
Accordion
needs to
there.
be sloppy.
Yeah.
No more waiting on them as you rise inside new rooms. official. You've gone, you can live for no one else, man. The guilt must be huge. There's no gain in failure. You succeed in being mine, yeah. Old friend, I see you there.
I can't believe how well this song works in every context.
It's like immensely transposable.
A moment, memories, there aren't many left. I am extradited, uninvited.
See, the song builds to the chorus so much that it's hard to pause it in time, but we gotta stick to the rules here.
Listen, rules are the rules. That was, but yeah, like in terms of sloppy, like imagine if that was sort of precise. Like that's not the vibe.
That would have been nasty. I think everything should be way more sloppy. That could have been even sloppier for my taste, but I loved it still. It was wonderful. I feel like Pod Mortality in the past was like a hardcore cover thing. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So you've really got some depth.
He was in a hurry.
Mr. Mortality. Okay, well, unfortunately, I did not look ahead earlier when I mentioned this, but this is called There Aren't Many Left, featuring Craig Huge Guilt Kielburger with It's Just Another Saturday. This is a collab between R. Greenlaw, B. Left, and Craig Huge Guilt Kielburger. A spicy Canada Land podcast, White Savior, is coming out soon to explain we to us. Justice, reparations, and land back now from the 6 to Nairobi. B Left is not affiliated with the Canada Land Ponded anyway, but gotta say the trailer audio mix is sick, if not somewhat derivative. So, I mean, look, it's getting harder and harder to really.
No more waiting on them.
This is not what I expected.
This is like we got fucking God here.
I'm scared. I feel like just waiting for these like terse Canadian accents to come in. Hard panned, accusatory. We're only gonna play 1 minute, so.
I will be proud from afar. I can paint a picture.
I mean, so far, absolutely stunning, beautiful.
Just because you referenced this earlier, and for people who like haven't listened to previous episodes, the Kielburgers are they contribute a lot to this section of the pod, but typically with very dense, difficult, abstract.
It's like basically
pieces of sort of like pastiche, plunderphonic style, sort of like art.
Yeah, and they're
movements.
It's audio from a very Canadian scandal that probably no
yes,
one,
exactly.
only like probably 1/8 of Canada even knows about it, because most people in Canada only pay attention to American politics at this point. But there's just like CBC audio of people arguing in Parliament, and like you described, some negative land shit. So this is almost the most subversive thing they could have done so far with this one.
Yeah, that's true. Like that was a real, like there's been just like months of setting our expectations. And then we've had the rug pulled out from us with this like, thoughtful, delicate interpretation of the song.
Unless the next 3.5 minutes are just absolutely unhinged, which is very possible.
Which I hope is the case, yeah.
Okay, well, finally, we heard reference earlier that Althea Later got some new pedals. This is Althea Later and Death Tents testing out their new gear. This is Later Tents with May 16th. So let's go. This is so vibey. It's almost. Did you ever listen to Kid Koala? There's almost some of that energy to it to me.
Yeah, like never on the regular, but yeah, full time. This is like the Kid Koala, like Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Yeah.
Cover or whatever. Yeah.
This is incredible. Yeah. Oh. It's beautiful.
And that was May 16th.